Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Abu Bakr, and in this video we shall be solving the Cambridge O-level chemistry question paper number 11 from the October-November 2022 series, paper 1 of multiple choice questions only. So let's start our video. Question number 1 is, now he has asked us which row shows the most appropriate apparatus for the measurement given here. So the quantity A is the 25 centimeter cube of solution, and the apparatus for it is measuring cylinder. Uh, mm, the second is 32.7 centimeter cube of solution, and the apparatus is pipette. Pipette is too small for 32.7 centimeter cube of solution. And C is 75 centimeter cube of gas. So yes, a gas syringe would work here. And for 80 centimeter cube of solution, a burette. No, a burette again won't work here. For 25 centimeter cube, I may use a burette. I may not use a measuring cylinder. So obviously C makes the most sense, and C is the best option. Question number 2. A liquid X is distilled from a mixture using the apparatus shown. Now, during the distillation, the thermometer reads from 157 degrees C to 160 degrees C. Which information about liquid X is correct? Now, first thing is that this liquid X is obtained by the distillation of this mixture. I call this M, and this liquid X is obtained from this mixture, and this mixture may consist of 2 or 3 or more than these liquids. Now, during the distillation, the thermometer reads from 157 degrees C to 160 degrees C. What does this mean? That this liquid X may have one or more than one liquids in it, more than one substances in it, which cannot be identified, easily in the differences of 1 and 2 degrees C temperatures. That's why the thermometer reads from 157 to 160 degrees C. There is not any accurate distillation point here, so that's why I had say that liquids in X may or may not be miscible. Yes, this can be true. X is a mixture that can be separated. No, it cannot be separated by distillation, because X furthermore contains of 2 or 3 liquids. X must contain 2 liquids with boiling points 157 degrees C and 160 degrees C. No, this is not necessary. Again, it may contain 2 liquids which have boiling points between 157 and 160 degrees C, between 157 and 160 degrees C, not exactly 157 or 163. If this was the case, then we would have obtained one liquid first at 157 degrees C and the other at 160 degrees C, but that's not the case. So B and C is correct. Incorrect. X must have been obtained by the fractional distillation of petroleum crude oil. No, this is again an incorrect statement. So A makes most sense. Now, these liquids in X may or may not be miscible. They may not mix with each other. They may mix with each other. So that's why I had say A is the best choice. Question number 3. An aqueous solution contains a salt Y. Addition of an aqueous solution X results in a precipitate being formed that redissolves when more X is added. So what could solution X and salt Y be? So the first thing here is that the aqueous solution of Y contains a salt, and when X is added to it, a precipitate is formed that redissolves when more X is added, that dissolves in an excess of X. Now, if AgNO3 and HCl combine, they will give me AgCl, which is insoluble. So A is incorrect. Similarly, if I take barium nitrate and I react it with sulfuric acid, it will give me barium sulfate, which is again insoluble. So that means A and B are incorrect. In C, copper hydroxide would be formed, blue in color. Copper hydroxide would be formed, and this copper hydroxide is also insoluble in excess. So A, B, and C are incorrect. So by the method of elimination, we are left with choice D, and in D, zinc hydroxide would be formed that dissolves in the excess of NaOH. So that is D, which is the right answer. Question number 4. Which gas diffuses the fastest at the same pressure? So nitrogen, oxygen, and oxygen. Nitrogen has an MR of 7, whereas oxygen has 8. So nitrogen will diffuse more quickly, and when the temperature is higher, the rate of diffusion is higher. So that means B is the right option. Question number 5. The diagram shows the outer shell electrons of the atoms of two elements Q and R. Sulfate of Q is insoluble. Element R is gaseous at room temperature and pressure, and whereas uh, the sulfate of Q is insoluble. Which row could be correct here? Now R has the outermost electron. The number of electrons in R is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. So that means it is from the halogen family. And will it be chlorine or bromine? Now bromine is a liquid at RTP, whereas chlorine is a gas at RTP. So either A or B is true. Whereas the sulfate of Q is insoluble. Now for the atomic number 12, I have MgSO4, which is fairly soluble in water. Whereas for atomic number 56, I have barium sulfate, which is insoluble. So that means D is the right answer. Question number 6. Which statement about iodine atoms and iodide ions are correct? So iodine negative and iodine, the atom, they both are isotopes of iodine. No, this is not necessary. They undergo the same chemical reactions. No, again incorrect. They have the same number of protons. Iodine gains electrons or loses electrons. Iodine only gains electrons. Uh, the iodide ions have nothing to do with the number of protons. Their number of protons remains the same as in the iodine atoms. So that means C is the right option. They have the same physical properties. No, again incorrect. C is the right option. Question number 7. The element chlorine has two isotopes, 35 chlorine and 37 chlorine. In the periodic table, chlorine is shown as 35.517 Cl. Which row shows the correct percentage of each isotope in a sample of naturally occurring chlorine? Now, for naturally occurring chlorine, I will take the 75% of 35 chlorine, and I will take 37% of, oh sorry, 25% of 37 chlorine. So if I multiply the values, then it is 35.5. If I add both 35 plus 37, 35 plus 37, and I divide it by 2, that is 36, but it is incorrect. Why? Because 35 is 75%. So among this 36 is 75% of 35 chlorine and 25% of 37 chlorine. So if I put these values again, so I multiply 0.75 with 36, so it is 27, and then I multiply 0.25 into 36, so that is 9. So that is 35. So there's again something wrong here. So 0.25 into 36, 0.35 into, simply if I check, if I cross this, and there is, I know that there is 75% of 35 chlorine, and there is 37% of there is 25% of 37 chlorine. So if I simply calculate their ratios, so that will be 75% of chlorine and 25% of 37 chlorine. So that means D is the right option. You may also already know that 75% of chlorine is in 35 mr, and 25% in, and 25% is in 37 mr. You do not have to do any mathematical calculations. You can simply add these values 75 and 25, and this will come out to be 35.5 chlorine. So that means D is the right option. Question number 8. What is the nucleon number for the isotope of uranium 23592? So that is C. This is the nucleon number. C is the right option. So if you still want me to solve question number 7 for you, I can still do this. I know how it is done. Sorry for the mistakes. Now there is, yes, shown in the periodic table 35.5 as the MR of chlorine. So 35.5 is the MR of chlorine, and there is some value of 35 chlorine, and there is some value of 37 chlorine. So the total value is again 35.5. So if you check the all these values here, that is 75. If I multiply 0.75 with 35, so that is 26.25. So that is 26.25. And if I multiply 25 with 37 chlorine, so that is 9.25, and you simply add them, so that is 35.5. So D is the right option. Otherwise you may also directly choose your right answer, but you can also do it mathematically. D is the right option. Question number 8. The isotope of uranium has an MR of 235 is the nucleon number. C is the right option. Question number 9. Silicon dioxide has a giant structure, so it will have a high melting point. So which property would silicon dioxide be expected to have? It will have a high melting point. Each silicon atom is joined to 4 oxygen atoms by covalent bonds. So it will not have any van der Waals forces. The van der Waals forces are absent. So that means it would not be also soluble in water, and it will not also conduct electricity. So will it react with HCl? No. S SiO2 is already an acidic oxide, means that it will not react with HCl. So only B is right. B is the right option. Question number 10. Element X and Y react to form compound XY. Element Y has more electrons in its outer shell than element X. Compound XY conducts electricity in the molten state. Which row correctly describes the electron charge that occurs during the reaction and the type of bonding in compound XY? Now X plus Y is equal to XY. Y has more electrons in the outer shells than X. Suppose Y is chlorine and X is an element. I take it sodium. Compound XY conducts electricity in the molten state. What does this mean? It's definitely an ionic compound like NaCl. So the electron change during the formation of compound XY will be that X will donate electrons to Y. X will donate electrons to Y. So, and definitely it's ionic bonding because it conducts electricity in the molten state. That's a characteristic of the ionic compound. So A is the right option. Question number 11. Which compound has the most single bonds in one molecule? If I check D, so that is carbon, hydrogen, 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 carbon, hydrogen, and carbon, hydrogen, and hydrogen. So there is a double bond here, so that this valency has satisfied 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bonds in D. In C, if I check C, so C, hydrogen, 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 carbon, double bond oxygen with H, so that is the alcoholic group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C will have 6. B, CH3, CH2O, C, hydrogen, 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 again carbon, hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen. So I think B will have the most, whereas CH3, so that is CH3 single double bond CH3, whereas there will be 3 into 3 6 single bonds here, so that means there are 8 here, so B is the right option. Question number 12. The formula of ammonium metavanadate is NH4VO3. It consists of NH4 ions and VO3 ions. What are the charges on these ions? So NH4, so NH4VO3 will disintegrate on heating into NH4 positive and VO3 negative. NH4 is positive, VO3 is negative, so A is the right option. Question number 13. Tricky question. Which mass of oxygen gas combines with exactly 16 gram of sulfur to form sulfur dioxide? Which mass of oxygen gas combines with exactly 16 grams of sulfur to form sulfur dioxide? So 16 gram of sulfur to react with mm, oxygen to give me sulfur dioxide. So there is 16 grams of oxygen of sulfur, and there is 1 mole of oxygen here, whereas whereas sorry there so this reaction is not as, the actual reaction is S2 plus O2 to give me 2SO2. Now there I have 16 gram of sulfur, that means I have half mole of sulfur, and I have, so this half mole of sulfur will react with half mole of oxygen to give me a half mole of sulfur dioxide, if I'm right. So if I have 16 gram of sulfur, I should have had 32 grams of sulfur to react with 16 into 2, 16 into 2, 8, 8 into 16 into 2, so that is so again I am doing something wrong here, sorry for the mistakes. So if I take sulfur, sulfur has an MR of 32, and I react with oxygen, 1 mole of oxygen, so that will give me SO2. If there is 16 gram of sulfur, so there would be half a mole of sulfur, and this should initially react with 32 gram of oxygen, that is 1 mole, to give me 1 mole of SO2. But now I have half mole of sulfur, this will react with half mole of oxygen, so I will have to divide 32 by 2, so that is 16. So 16 gram of sulfur will react with 16 gram of oxygen gas to give me 32 grams of sulfur dioxide. So C is the right option. Question number 14. The atomic number of ruthenium is 44. One of the oxides of ruthenium is a black solid X. 5.79 gram of X contains 1.39 gram of oxygen. So what is the empirical formula of X? So first of all, I will calculate the percentage presence of oxygen in this oxide of ruthenium, which is black. So simply if I divide percentage of oxygen, so that is 1.39 gram is the presence over 5.79. So that is equal to, putting into the calculator, 1.39 divided by 5.79. So that is 24%, or 0.24 into 100. Now the atomic number of ruthenium is 44, so I will first have to find its MR. So going to the periodic table, ruthenium 44, ruthenium 44, so it has an MR of 101. So the MR of ruthenium is 101. So in A there are 101 multiplied 2, there is 202 ruthenium, and there is oxygen is there is oxygen has an MR of 16, so that is equal to 218. Now calculating the percentage presence of oxygen in R in ruthenium in diruthenium oxide, so that will be 16 over 218, so that's definitely not equal to 24. You can check this in your calculator as well. Whereas for ruthenium oxide RuO, that is 101 plus 16, that is 117, and I again calculate the percentage presence of oxygen in RuO, so 16 divided by 117, that is 13%, again not equal to 24. In CRU2O there is 101 plus 24, so that is 125, and I divide 125 by 120, I multiply 125 by reciprocal of 24, 24 divided by 125, so that is sorry, I had taken 32 here. I should have taken 32 here. So 32 over 125, 125, 32, 32 divided by 125. So that is 0.25% something. So approximately equal to 24%. So C can be right, whereas for DRuO4, that is 101 plus 48, sorry 48, not 48, 64, so that is 64, 165, so I divide 64 by 165, 64 divided by 165, that is 38%, so that's not close to 24%, so I will go with C is the best choice. Question number 15. To 50 centimeter cube of 1 mole per decimeter cube hydrochloric acid reacts with an excess of solid sodium carbonate. The equation is shown. So what is the volume of CO2 produced when measured at RTP? Now 250 centimeter cube of half mole of 1 mole decimeter cube reacts. So the if by putting the values, so I have 0.25 moles per 0.25 decimeter cube of uh, 1 mole per decimeter cube hydrochloric acid, so I have 0.25 moles of HCl. This will react with 0.125 moles of uh, sodium carbonate. This will give me 0.25 moles of NaCl and 0.125 moles of CO2. That's what we want. So at RTP, any gas occupies a volume of 24 decimeter cube, whereas only 1 mole of gas occupies 24 decimeter cube. I have 0.125 moles of CO2 produced, so I will definitely multiply uh, 24 with 0.125, so that is 3 decimeter cube, which is the right answer. Question number 16, again a tricky question. All these are tricky questions. In fact, when excess aqueous barium chloride is added to 25 centimeter cube of 1 mole per decimeter cube sodium sulfate, a white precipitate of barium sulfate is formed. Okay. So this precipitate is filtered off, washed, dried, and weighed. 5.36 grams of barium sulfate is produced. So what is the percentage yield of barium sulfate? So first of all, I will have to find the number of moles of barium chloride reacting with Na2SO4 sodium sulfate. So I have 24 divided by 1000. So I have 0.025 moles of 0.025 moles of sodium sulfate reacting with excess of barium sulfate, but 0.025 will react with 0.025. Remember this, and this will give me 0.025 moles of barium sulfate. Precipitate is filtered off, washed, dried. 5.3 I obtain 5.36 gram of barium sulfate. So if 0.025 moles of sodium sulfate react, it will give me 0.025 moles of barium sulfate, whereas the MR of barium sulfate given here is 233. So 0.025 multiplied 233. So I should have, in ideal conditions, the actual yield is 5.825, whereas in this case there is only a yield of 5.36. So if I divide 5.36 with 5.825, so that is 92%, 0.92, and I multiply it with 100, so that is 92%. C is the right option. Question number 17. Aqueous copper sulfate is electrolyzed using inert electrodes. Which statement is correct here? So, aqueous copper sulfate, copper is collected at anode, no copper will be connected at cathode. Hydrogen is collected at cathode, no hydrogen won't be, only copper will be collected at cathode. Oxygen is collected at anode, yes, this can be true. Sulfur is collected at anode, no, again incorrect. C is the right option. Question number 18. Concentrated aqueous sodium chloride is electrolyzed using inert electrodes. So which equation shows the reaction that occurs at the anode? At anode, oxidation occurs. Remember this, oxidation is loss of electrons. So chlorine here is losing electrons, chlorine, and so A is true. B and C are reduction. Now you might choose D. D is incorrect because he has used a concentrated. This solution of aqueous sodium chloride does not contain much amount of water, so A would be the best choice. Question number 19. Which pair of equations correctly represents the reactions taking place at the anode and at the cathode during the electrolysis of molten silver bromide? So AgBr is silver bromide. So at anode, oxidation occurs, as I had said earlier. Oxidation is loss of electrons. So bromine here is losing electrons. So A or C would be correct. Silver won't give reaction at anode, and B is the, here he has shown the reduction of bromine, so B is also incorrect. Whereas at cathode, so Ag2 positive plus 2 electron negative is Ag, no, because AgBr has Ag positive and Br negative. So Ag positive will only take one electron to form Ag, so that is C. So C would be the best choice. C is the right answer. Question number 20. Which two processes are both endothermic? So endothermic reactions absorb energy from the surroundings. Combustion is exothermic as energy is released. Photosynthesis is endothermic because energy is absorbed from sunlight, and cracking also needs energy. Respiration is exothermic because energy is produced. So C would be the right option. Question number 21. A sample of sulfuric acid is added to 10 gram of zinc granules. A reaction occurs and a gas is produced. The rate of the reaction is increased. The small amount of copper is added. The copper is unchanged after the reaction. Which statement about this reaction is correct? Copper acts as a biological catalyst. Copper does not act as a biological catalyst in this case. So A is incorrect. Copper lowers the activation energy of the reaction. Yes, copper is acting as a catalyst. So B would be the best choice. B is the right answer. I know all other are incorrect. Question number 22. The rate of the reaction between magnesium and dilute HCl is investigated. The equation is shown. So magnesium will react with HCl to give me MgCl2 along with the hydrogen gas which will be produced. A known mass of magnesium is added to an excess of dilute HCl. The concentration of HCl and the volume of hydrogen produced is measured at regular time intervals. Which pair of graph shows the experimental results? Now, known mass of magnesium is added to excess of dilute HCl. So after a certain time interval, the concentration of HCl will become constant. It will not end as shown in A and B. It will become constant as shown here. It will become constant. So either C or D are correct. Whereas for the volume of hydrogen produced, the volume of hydrogen produced will eventually become constant, will also become constant after some time. The volume of hydrogen produced will also decrease, will also stop after some time, as shown in D. So D is the right option. After some time the volume of hydrogen produced decreases, not increases as shown in C. It decreases after time. So D is the best choice. D is the best choice. Question number 23. In which reaction is the underlying substance reduced? So, is the underlying substance reduced? What is reduction? Reduction is gain of hydrogen, loss of oxygen, and gain of electrons. Now, in this case, if I check here, calcium carbonate, uh, this calcium This calcium has the same oxidation state in both cases. So A is incorrect. In B, the copper 2 positive reacts with zinc. It gains electrons, so that is reduction. It gains electrons, so that is uh, reduction. So B is true. In C, Fe2O3 with 3CO to give 2 ferrum and CO2. In C, it is, I think, oxidized carbon. Yes, carbon is oxidized here because it gains oxygen. Similarly, zinc is also oxidized because it gains oxygen. So C and D are incorrect. B is the right answer. Question number 24. Which change involves reduction? So again, what is reduction? Removal of oxygen, gain of hydrogen, gain of electrons. So calcium carbonate to give me calcium oxide. Now some of you might choose this as the right option, but you have to look other as well, and you have to choose the best answer. Calcium, this calcium oxide does not completely gets its oxygen removed. So A can be or cannot be true. Copper to brass, again incorrect. Ethene to polyethylene, again incorrect. When several uh, when ethene reacts into polyethylene by addition polymerization, so that is again not reduction. Sand to silicon, so SiO2 into Si, there is complete removal of oxygen. So D is the right option. You can also check this by the by checking their oxidation states in both. If their oxidation states satisfy that it is either reduction or oxidation, then you should choose your best answer. Question number 25. Thiosulfate ions S2O3 2 negative react with iodine I2 in aqueous solution. So thiosulfate with iodine 2I negative and S4O6 2 negative. So in this reaction, the S2O3 2 negative ions are uh, S2O3 2 negative ions are so so iodine has gained electrons here. Why has iodine gained electrons? Because S2O3 has lost electrons. It has donated its electrons to iodine. So S2O3 negative will definitely lose. And what if they lose electrons? They will be oxidized. So C is the right option. Question number 26. The equation shows a reaction in the contact process. Which change would move the position of equilibrium to the left? To the left, 26. Question number 26. Adding more oxygen will move equilibrium to the right. Increasing the pressure will also move the equilibrium to the right, from because there are 3 moles here, there are 2 moles here. So A and B are incorrect. Increasing the temperature, this is true because it's an exothermic reaction. The reaction forward is exothermic. So if I increase the temperature, then it will move to the left. C is true. Removing the SO3 from reaction mixture will cause the equilibrium to move to the right. So C is the right option. Some medicines contain the magnesium salt of a fatty acid. The fatty acids are members of the homologous series of carboxylic acid and contain one carboxylic acid group. Okay. So what is the carboxylic acid functional group and how many moles of fatty acids react with 1 mole of magnesium? COOH, A and B are true. C is incorrect. So if how can I check how many moles of fatty acid react with 1 mole of magnesium? I know that CH3COOH is the acetic acid, and this CH3 has a charge of 1 positive, whereas magnesium magnesium has a charge of 2 positive. So it would be MgCOOH taken twice, the magnesium salt of the magnesium fatty acid. So 1 mole of magnesium will react with 2 moles of CO2H to give me MgCOOH2. It will react with 2 moles of fatty acid. So B is the right option. Oh. Question number 28. Sodium sulfate Na2SO4 and sodium hydrogen sulfate NaHSO4 can be prepared both by using aqueous sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid. 50 centimeter cube of 1 mole per decimeter cube sodium hydroxide is used each time. So before moving forward, I convert 50 centimeter cube into decimeter cube. So that is 0.05. So 0.05 moles of uh, 1 mole per decimeter cube sodium hydroxide. So 0.05 mole of NaOH and 0.05 moles of NaOH are used both times. Which row shows the correct volumes of 1 mole per decimeter cube sulfuric acid required to prepare a sample of sodium sulfate and a sample of hydrogen sulfate? Now, um, correct volumes of 1 mole per decimeter cube sulfuric acid required to prepare a sample of uh, sodium sulfate and a sample of hydrogen sulfate. So they so these 2 moles react with 1 mole. So the molarity here should be half of 0.05, 0.025. So it will give me 0.025 Na2SO4. Similarly, 0.05 will and this in B 0.05 mole will react with 0.05 moles because the number of moles are equal. So it will give me 0.05 moles. So now volume of sulfuric acid required to make sodium sulfate, it is definitely 25 centimeter cube because the ratio of number of moles of NaOH to H2SO4 is 2:1, whereas in the second equation it is 1:1. So if I have 50 centimeter cube of 1 mole plus sodium hydroxide in this second reaction, then obviously 50 centimeter cube is required to make sodium hydrogen sulfate, an acetic salt. So A is the right option. Question number 29. Which substance reacts with dilute sulfuric acid in the preparation of pure sample of lead sulfate? A pure sample. So powdered lead carbonate and powdered lead oxide. So powdered lead carbonate and powdered lead oxide. And if I proceed this reaction with H2SO4, so it will not give me a pure sample because it will not give me a pure sample. Why? Because there would be PbSO4, which is which would be a precipitate PbSO4, and there would be water along with them, and CO2 would be in the first and CO2 won't be in the second. So both C and D are incorrect because there is water produced here again. So for the lead foil, so Pb plus H2SO4 this reaction will proceed not. Reaction won't proceed because Pb lead is below hydrogen in the reactivity series. So aqueous lead nitrate. Now this reaction will definitely occur. PbNO3 taken twice to prepare. So to prepare insoluble salt, we mix two soluble salts generally. So this reaction will definitely proceed to give me PbSO4 and HNO3, and this PbSO4 will settle down in the bottom as a pure sample. So A is the right option. Question number 30. In which statement about sulfuric acid is correct? In the manufacture of sulfuric acid, iron is used as a catalyst in the contact process. No. Iron is used in the Haber process. Sulfuric acid is used in some batteries. Yes, it is used in electrolytes. B is true. B is the right answer. C and D are incorrect. Question number 31. Two statements are given. Now, which statements are correct? Going down group 1 and group 7, the melting point of elements increases. Now, in the halogen family, the melting point increases because these are non-metals, whereas group 1, the melting point decreases. So 1 is incorrect. Chlorine can displace iodine from aqueous potassium iodide but cannot displace bromine from aqueous potassium bromide. This is also incorrect. Chlorine can displace both. So neither 1, neither 2 are correct. D is the right option. Question number 32. A reversible reaction involves a solid reacting with hydrogen. Which of the metals, aluminium and iron, would catalyze the reaction, and what is their effect on the position of equilibrium? Now, catalyst first thing has nothing to do with the position of equilibrium. So A and C are incorrect. Now, in a reaction with hydrogen, so there is aluminium and ferrum. Now, aluminium has higher reactivity than hydrogen, whereas ferrum has lower reactivity than hydrogen. So that means aluminium will also try to participate in the reaction, and this will not cause the reaction to occur as we had wanted. So only iron would work as a catalyst. So D is the right option. Question number 33. Iron is obtained in the blast furnace from the ore hematite. Which substance is correct? Calcium carbonate is used to remove acidic impurities. Yes, this is true. CaCO3 will react with SiO2 to give me calcium silicate slag. So it is used to remove acidic impurities. A is true. A is the right answer. All other are incorrect. Question number 34. With three statements about the carbon cycle are given. So the carbon cycle regulates the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Yes, it does. During photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is produced. No carbon dioxide is utilized. Combustion of hydrocarbons requires oxygen. This is also true. B is the right option. Question number 33. Carbon is used in the purification of the water supply. Uh, what is the reason for this? To remove mud and other insoluble solids? No, this is not why carbon is used. To remove nitrates caused by excessive use of fertilizer? No. To remove taste and odors? Yes, that is the primary function why carbon is used in the purification supply. C is the right option. D is the function of clarification. So C is the right option for 35. Question number 36. Octane is an alkane with 8 carbon atoms per molecule. What is the molecular formula of octane? So that is C8H18 by the formula of CnH2n plus 2 alkane for alkanes. And how does its boiling point compare with that of butane? Now going down the homologous series, the boiling point increases. I know this. So this will definitely be higher than butane. Butane has 4 carbons, whereas octane has 8. So definitely boiling point of octane would be higher. D is the right option. Question number 37. Which equation for the reaction between propane and chlorine is correct? Propane and chlorine. So alkane with chlorine, this is the substitution reaction, and propane is C3H8. A and B are incorrect. Among C and D, one is to be true. And in this case here, So this reaction take place in, this is a chain reaction. So in each reaction a HCl molecule is produced, you know this. So that is the D, which is a testament for this. D is the right option. Question number 38. Propanoic acid reacts with calcium carbonate. The products of this reaction are calcium propanoate, calcium carbon dioxide, and water. What is the equation for this reaction? So propanoic acid. So first of all, propanoic acid is C2H5COOH. So either A or B are incorrect. C is the butanoic acid. D is also butanoic acid. They react with calcium carbonate. B. I know B is the right answer. This will give me uh, calcium propanoate. So valency is also satisfied here, along with CO2 and water. B is the right option. Question number 39, a tricky one. The monomer CH3CH double bond CH3 can be used to make an addition polymer. This addition polymer has a chain of carbon atoms joined to each other by C6 single bonds. Each of these carbon atoms is also bonded to at least one atom or other group of atoms. These are called the side groups. Yes. In which statement describes the carbon atoms in the polymer chain made from CH3 C double bond CH3. So I will try to open this. So put carbon carbon double bond and put CH3 here, hydrogen here, hydrogen here, or CH3. So this is the monomer unit. So this carbon double bond will be broken down. So this would be something like CH3 hydrogen, hydrogen and CH3. I can also replace the positions of hydrogen and CH3 on the y-axis. Each carbon atom in the chain has one CH3 and one hydrogen atoms as side groups. Yes, this is true. Each carbon atom is joined to a CH3CH side group. No, is joined to a CH3 and a CH side group, not a collective this group. Every carbon atom in the chain is joined to either two CH3 or two hydrogen. No, they are not joined to two CH3 or two hydrogen. There is one CH3 and one hydrogen. Every carbon atom in the chain is joined to hydrogen atoms, not only to hydrogen atoms. So A is the best choice. Last MCQ. Finally, we have come to an end. Which row shows the structure of a polymer and the monomers from which it is made? So this A is a amino. So this is the amino acids. So this amino acid will form a protein most likely. Whereas what is this polymer? This is nylon. This is nylon. So A is incorrect. In B, so there is double bond carbon. So the valency here of this carbon and this carbon ain't satisfied. B is also incorrect. C is a, so there is diamine. There is diamine and there is dicarboxylic acid, and this forms a ester. So this is ester here. This is a ester. So this is again incorrect. So D is the right option because it is a dicarboxylic acid with dicarboxylic acid, and this will react with diol to give me an ester, as we know. So D is the right option. So guys, that's all for today's video. Hope you have understood. Make sure to like and subscribe, and do press the bell icon if you want to be updated for the upcoming papers, past papers videos. Allah Hafiz.